Today on Treasure Hunting America, we'll meet Gary Edwards, a treasure hunter whose tenacity has earned him some unbelievable finds.
We were spearfishing and I saw this anchor shaft jutting out of the sand. It had to be, I figured out it was a Spanish ship, and I went back and started just finding all kinds of coins. There's a few Russian coins in there. There's some coins from India, copper maravedis, there's silver, there's a small amount of gold. My only danger so far has been great white sharks. I call it the guardians of the wreck.
And we'll visit with Art Apodaca, who got started metal detecting in the late 60s.
It was exciting because there was only about one of me, other guy in this whole county here with a metal detector. So we had prime land, we were finding old stuff.
All coming up on Treasure Hunting America. Hello and welcome to another episode of Treasure Hunting America. I'm your host, Mark Hendricks. For the next half hour, we'll share some amazing stories of everyday treasure hunters across the country, discovering vast antiquities and caches of yesteryear. Gary Edwards started treasure hunting in 1993 after a near-death car accident. Since then, he's found gold nuggets, jewelry, and a lost Spanish galleon.
I started metal detecting to recuperate from a very bad automobile accident. I was headed to a client with my portfolio, come up around a curve, and I see this garbage truck come roaring down the hill, and he didn't see me, and I pulled off the road and he broadsided me. No broken bones, but just a lot of neurological damage. I'd lost 98% of the manual dexterity in one hand and 95% in the other.
For Gary, his therapy of metal detecting turned into an addictive hobby that would lead to bigger and better treasure.
I wasn't really that into it at first, and then realized it could be for anybody. I always thought it was just a bunch of old geezers puttering around finding junk. I found some pennies, 1800s. My first 2-cent piece shocked me. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a 2-cent piece or a 3-cent piece. I graduated from parks and beaches to actually going to the library and doing research, historical research. I went to the county and went through their archives and found maps dating from the early 1900s, late 1800s. That was a source of location where the old roads, stagecoach stops, schoolhouse buildings that were on the old maps. It just snowballed on me as far as wanting to find more and more and more. I'm the kind of person that would set goals. Well, I'm going to find this, and I would look for that. I enjoyed it. You never know what you're going to find. This is a ruby and diamond ring that I found on the beach. These were a recent find. They're gold, amethyst, and diamond handmade earrings from circa 1920-ish. I have an incidental find that I found quite a few years ago on the Central Coast. I was using XLT whites, and I got an iron reading, and I normally don't dig iron, but just on a whim I decided to dig it up. It was only about 4 inches deep, and found this iron spearhead wrapped in an old desiccated piece of deer hide, I believe is what it was, with this ceremonial blade. I took it to an archaeologist, and he dates it about 200 years old. One of my recent finds just this last year was this gold Matchbox case. It's got specimen gold inlaid, quartz, solid gold, and what's unusual about it is on the back is engraved San Francisco Bay prior to the Golden Gate Bridge being built, which was built in 1933. So this is pre-1933, I figure 1920, expensive gold watch. Matchbox. Research and persistence. I think that's the key to it. Don't give up. You're not going to find something every time you go out there. But the one time that you do find something wonderful, it makes it worth the 10 times you went out there and found some old junk.
When we return, Gary will share about his largest treasure find so far, a sunken Spanish galleon. While spearfishing off the coast of California, Gary was surprised to find an old ship's anchor and ballast balls 30 feet down. For him, it was the discovery of a lifetime.
I spent about a week and a half going up the California coast. We went up to Monterey and then coming back down, and I come up over a reef, 10 foot tops, the max of it, and dropped down, and I saw this anchor shaft jutting out of the sand. And as I dropped down to about 30 foot at the bottom of the reef, I noticed up against the reef were some ballast. I knew right away they were ballast piles, because you don't find round rock like that naturally occurring in piles at the bottom of the ocean. So I surfaced immediately there and took a bearing on the coast and continued my spearfishing with the idea of coming back someday. Didn't say a word to my buddies, and in between wanting to go back there, I had the accident, so I wasn't able to go back for about 5 years. And I went back and started just finding all kinds of different pieces of metal and found some coins, and I've made 8 trips back there so far. I've actually made many trips back there, and if I didn't feel good about it, I didn't go in the water. I started from the ballast piles, working out onto the sand, looking for a rock structure, because I know anything heavy is going to go down onto the bedrock. Storms tend to stir things up. I had a scoop that I worked with. I figured out it's a Spanish ship, or ships, because I've found such a wide variety of dates that had gone across the Pacific and returning back. The Portuguese had what they called the Black Fleet, the Manila fleet that used to come down the coast of California. I think it's just the captain's hoard, or whatever you want to call it, his treasure box that he paid the sailors with, because there's copper maravedis, there's silver, there's a small amount of gold. Primarily copper maravedis and blancas, what are called blancas, and those were the lowest of the Spaniard denomination of coins. There's a few Russian coins in there, which they could have picked up going, along the coast of China. Above that, there's some coins from India. There's some British coins, which were common in use back then. There's some Dutch coins.